Hi guys, welcome to the instructional video of the fantastic Chausson Titanium 720. This is a 2020 model. Great family vehicle. Just give you a walk around the outside first of all. Show you the features. Some of these features that are fitted to this in particular vehicle have been added by the customer. So we've got a bike rack which we fitted, and then an awning as well, and an aerial on the top. There's also a TV inside which we'll go through when we get inside the vehicle. So there we go, that's the outside of the vehicle. First things first, under the bonnet. It's based on the Ford Transit, this vehicle, so to release the bonnet catch, there's nothing inside. You use the vehicle key, and then if you look there, you've got a 1 and a 2. So basically 1 to release the bonnet catch, you see the bonnet pops up, and then 2 to then enable you to lift the bonnet. So hold it in position 2 and then lift the bonnet from there. So under the bonnet compartment we have some basics just to show you. We have your jump start points. You'll notice that there's no vehicle battery underneath there. The vehicle battery is underneath one of the driver or passenger seats, but the actual jump start points, if you ever need to, are indicated by a set of jump leads on there, and you just pull this red cap back. That's your positive terminal where you'd link your positive lead onto, and then your negative terminal is just onto here, and that's also indicated just on here if you ever forget, just as a point on there, and that's basically to earth it onto there. Other bits inside your engine compartment, we've got your antifreeze and your summer coolant within there. Got your power steering fluid within there. Oil top up is there, and then your dipstick for your oil is indicated there. And then here we have a little picture of your windscreen wipers and windscreen, and that's for your washer jets that goes into there. Really guys, there's nothing else to see from underneath this bonnet compartment. Obviously Ford will take care of all the servicing and things such as that. Moving to the rear of the vehicle, I'm moving further back, sorry. We've then got your details for filling the vehicle up with diesel. This is done so by opening the passenger door. You then have your cap which pops out. You'll notice that there's no actual separate cap. This basically seals and forms a seal shut for your cap, and then you've got the flap which is in there, and then you'll fill up diesel from there. Normal diesel, fill up and take it from there. Below it though, you do have this cap, and then that's for AdBlue. Now AdBlue is an additive that you'll put in every sort of 6,000 miles or so, which doesn't actually go directly into the fuel. It's just basically for the exhaust system, and it's to take out the further harmful effects from diesel. Don't worry about it, the vehicle will warn you, and it will give you a countdown of when you need to put that in. It usually counts down from about 1,000 miles. Make sure that you do put some in before it gets to minimum, because after a certain amount of warnings it will then eventually go into limp mode. So just put that into the tank. Usually I think it takes about 25 litres, and it's available from any petrol station, either in containers. Some now are actually from dispensers similar to your fuel tank. But don't fill it up every time. There's no need to fill it up every time you fill your diesel up. It's just basically when it warns you. To lock the vehicle, you've got central locking on your passenger, driver, and on your habitation door. You have this key. You have an unlock which unlocks the vehicle. Centre button is lock and locks all the vehicle, or just the bottom button just unlocks the habitation door. The best bet to do is to use all this. Within the Ford circuit, you just need to be careful that when you open and close, unless you complete the cycle within Ford system, whereby you're opening or closing the driver or passenger door only, the Ford system doesn't recognise that a full open has happened. So if you're just opening and getting through the habitation door, the vehicle after a minute or so will lock itself again. So just be careful with your keys on that. Either get into the habit of, if you're doing it on the central locking, opening the driver's door just to complete it and to complete the circuit, or just do so on the separate key, which is on here. It's basically just a quirk of the Ford system. It thinks that you've unlocked the vehicle accidentally, so without opening the driver or passenger door, it's not completing its cycle because it's not recognising the cell door, which is the habitation door, obviously on the opposite side. All your other lockers, such as your rear garage locker, your habitation service point locker, that's all lockable with the Chausson key, which is here, and that is your Chausson key. Okay, so moving to the services of the vehicle, we've got, whenever you're getting onto campsite, just get into the habit of removing this cover. This cover is for your water heater, and it basically allows all the exhaust gases to go through, particularly when you're running it on gas. There's no real requirement for when you're running it on electric, but we're just advised, just get into the habit of removing that. Simplest thing to do is just to bob it into the passenger door pocket from there. Dead easy. That you'll notice when it's running, when your water heater's running, will get warm. You might see some steam occasionally that'll develop up here, and that's just really the byproduct from the gas as it's burning and basically exhausting any carbon monoxide and any exhaust fumes from there. Moving further back, we've got your mains plug-in point. I've plugged this in for the demonstration. So this is where you've got your mains plug-in point. When you're removing the mains plug-in, always push this down. That releases it and enables you then to pull that lead out. When you're pushing it in, just basically push in. There's only one way on those mains leads, so you can't get anything wrong from there. Moving backwards, we've then got your service locker. Push these in, that then drops down. Starting from left to right, we've got your 12-volt fuses. Quite clearly indicated what fuse does what. Size of the fuse on there and what circuit it's actually operating. That's for everything on the 12-volt system. Next to that, we've got your bed fuses, signal fuse and then power fuse. Those, if you are operating your electric beds and you've got any particular weight on there, or they've been forced up, if you've left duvets and big pillows up there that are forcing against the roof before the motor's completed its cycle, will pop, and they're designed to protect the circuit. And then it's just a case of popping that cover off and replacing those fuses from there. Next to it, we've then got your circuit breaker. Now this is just similar to a circuit breaker as you'd have at home. It's rated at 13 amps within there, so for any power input. Simplest way, one good thing of testing, if you're plugged in on campsites and you don't seem to have any mains power, and yet your mains lead's plugged in, push that test button, which is there, and that button will flip down. It will only flip down if you've got mains power coming in. If you haven't got mains power coming in, that will not flick down. So therefore it indicates that there's a problem with the campsite and not with the van. So just to recap, 12-volt electrics, mains electrics. If your mains electrics isn't working, it's nothing to do with that. Your 12-volt electrics, your lights and things such as that will always work whether you've got mains power coming in, because they are coming from your battery. Some indications on there in terms of do's and don'ts and general instructions from there. Always make sure you read through the instruction manuals and all of the warnings that are located within the vehicle, just to familiarise yourself with all the operations and the safe using. So for the purposes of demonstration, we've got some water. I'll put some water in here, sort of about a quarter of a tank in there for you. The tank isn't a sort of standard shape. It's got kind of baffles in there and all sorts of different shapes inside there. So it gives you some indication of where the level of water is, but then you've also got an indicator inside which will tell you where that is from there. This is your main cleaning cap. You'd remove this if there was no water in there, if you wanted to clean it, if there was any debris inside it. The main filler cap though is here. So you slide that out from there and then release, and then you fill up with a standard food grade water hose. Once it's full, simplest thing is fill it till water starts to come out, then you know it's full. Put the cap on and close it from there. You've then got on here your maximum and minimum level for where it'll fill to. Now if your pump is on, then it'll actually, if that's in the vertical position, you will notice then that it'll start to drain down in the vertical position, because the pump will be pumping water out and purging water out. But in the maxi level, it allows you to fill the water tank to full. You'll notice here a sticker which indicates the drain point and whereabouts the drain point is. And it's located underneath, and it's on what's called a push fit connection. To release that push fit connection, basically what you're doing is you're pulling the collar towards you, and then pulling down. If you just pull down on it, it's locking on itself, so you need to pull around the collar. I'm just going to show you where that is so you can see and identify it. Okay, so underneath the vehicle we've got this, which is your breather pipe for an overflow, and then you'll notice behind the heater pipe is this push fit connection, and as I say, you'd pull the collar above it and then drop down like so. I'm not going to do it now because I'll get soaking, but basically that is the device. I'll just zoom in there, and that basically is the device that just pops down, and then that'll drain down. The reason you do that is for hygiene, say perhaps during the summer, so you're not leaving stagnant water in there, but also mainly for winter, to make sure that you're draining down and you're not leaving any water that's going to freeze from there. Whilst we're here, this pipe and this outlet is for your diesel heater. Again, that will get warm, and that basically, your heater is located further forward, and that's for your diesel heater for your blown air heating. Moving to the back of the vehicle, we've got your bike rack, pretty self-explanatory. This ties around your bikes to secure your bikes further. These just flip those out like so, and then you can drop the bike rack down. That attaches onto one bike, that attaches onto the other. And then use those to go around your bike wheels. Camera fitted into the high level brake light. Then got your toilet cassette. Toilet cassette, just standard motorhome toilet cassette. To release it, lift the handle and slide out. This handle slides out like so, so you can wheel it to its eventual destination. When you're releasing the contents, release this cap by twisting, put that somewhere safe. Don't put it on the top of the oil sand point because it'll be the worst day's fishing you'll ever have. Put that away, and then go to your oil sand point and tip. Also push this button, and that'll release any vacuum and stop it glugging back. Once it's empty, then what you do is, either if you're using chemical, you just pour some chemical into this, and it's got a measuring jug. Each different chemical will have a certain amount of dilution, or some people will use aqua tabs, which you just drop into here, and then once you've done that, very, very fine layer of water, not too much, and put the cap back on, pivot it back, and then slide this device back in. Once it's in, you want to ensure that that is locked in like so. If it's up, then there's always a chance that this can slide back and forth in transport, and then the blade inside for the toilet is not going to operate properly. You can then close that too. Then got your gas bottle compartment at the front, space for 1 6 kilogram bottle. In here we've got your mains hookup lead for you. We've got your solution for your tyre inflator inside there, and then your fire extinguisher there. That is your regulator. There's a pigtail which is inside the instruction book, which then will attach to the bottle. So there's no need for any additional regulator that goes on top of the bottle. That is your regulator. There's a rubber pigtail which screws directly onto that and then onto your bottle. And that's for propane. You can use butane if you wish, but we advise that you use propane, and the pigtail that's provided is for propane. And you can get an 11 kilogram in there, but a 6 kilogram is the easiest fit. Moving backwards, we've got your garage compartment. Inside your garage compartment, we've got just your box and your gubbins for your TV. Got your additional makeup cushions for your additional bed, which is underneath your drop down bed. And then we've got your additional seat, which is just located underneath there, which slots in for your fifth travelling seat. Light within here. Got your instruction manual with your pigtail and things such as that in your book pack. And then we've got a mains power socket and a 12 volt socket. The 12 volt socket will be live as long as you've got your power turned on inside your van. Your mains power socket, as with all the mains power sockets in the vehicle, will only be live when you're physically hooked up onto mains. Inside this black bag in here, we've got your silver screens and your winter silver screens and thermomats inside there. Last but not least, we've got your winder for your bed. So you can adjust the height of the bed, which is on the opposite side of here. Currently it's in its highest position. We basically have a winder, which is located here, which is there. You put it into there and then twist. And this bed will then lower down. And you just wind it to whichever height you want. And you'll see that this drops down with it. And that just is really for ease of access into that lower bunk, should you need to. On this particular vehicle, we've got the awning. The awning's very similar operation to the bed. You'll put a winder into there and then wind the awning out. The front valance will drop out. Once it gets to a certain point where you're comfortable in reaching up, you'll see two legs. Drop those legs out and let the front valance support its weight. Then continue to wind it. If there's two of you, one person walk the legs out, the other person wind. If you're on your own, move them to a certain point, wind it, go back to them, stick the legs out again and go from there. But you must make sure that that balance is supported. It isn't self-supporting. If it's in any heavy winds, put it away. If it's raining heavily, put it away. Drop one of the sides if it's drizzly, just so the rain drops off so it's not pooling on the actual canopy. Very important that you do that. The amount of awnings that we've had where winds picked up in the night and they flipped over the other side because they're not tied down or they're just pegged down, it's far easier just to wind it away and put it away. If you are going to leave it up and if you're going to put sunroofs on them, sunrooms and things such as that, buy the storm straps for them which slide into that C-rail from there. Okay, so that's everything on the outside of the vehicle pretty much. We've just got finally these vents. These are for your fridge vents. You'll find that sometimes these will get quite warm just for the exchange of heat. You can buy winter covers for those, for if you are going to use them for ski conditions and things such as that, but ultimately just leave those. If you are in very, very hot climates, try to get into the habit of parking the van the opposite way around from the midday sun. Basically it's a heat transfer, so the hotter that area is, the more the fridge is going to be working. And obviously it's not a domestic fridge, it's a motorhome fridge, so it's going to need different sources and different amounts of power to do that. If it's got heat hitting that panel all of the time at the midday, it's going to be working twice as hard and the contents inside your fridge are not going to be as cold. Okay, that's everything for the outside, so we will go into the inside of the vehicle. So you've got your main habitation door, like I say, it is on your central locking. If you've opened it and then opened your cab doors, or if you just opened it initially, then pop it from there. If you do want to use the Chausson key, then you can use that. Door goes back and it locks back into that door retainer, so it's a good solid lock from there. Then we've got a bin in your habitation door and a blind built in from there, and then we've got fly screen in that habitation door as well. So stepping inside the vehicle, what we've got is the main things. When you're first on campsite, you're filled up with water, you've plugged into mains. What you would then do is turn your control panel on. So dead simple, this control panel. You've got on and off from there. That basically wakes the system up. You've then got this, which is a lighting circuit. Now this also operates everything that's 12 volt as well. So although it indicates a light, it is all your 12 volt source. So if that's not on, your 12 volt plugs won't work. Your TV and things such as that won't work. So just ensure that that's on. All your lights are individually switched anyway. So you can walk around the vehicle and switch different lights on and off from there. Well, basically, that is kind of think of that as your 12 volt circuit. Next is your water pump. If you flick that on, then that'll send power now to your water pump. Without that on, your pump will release pressure, but it won't actually pump anything. And then the final one at the top is for your awning light. Awning light on, awning light off. Below is your indicators. So we've got a picture of a battery with a motorhome inside it. Dead straightforward. Shows us the level of the motorhome battery. Currently a small charge going into it. It's an intelligent charger unit, so it'll indicate when it needs a charge and not. So at the moment it's on a bit of a rest cycle, so it's just up to sort of just below the full mark. Below it, we press that button and it shows us our vehicle battery. Standard non-charged battery, sort of showing around about that sort of 2/3 full, which is about right. As long as we've got green lights, we're fine. Once we start to drop into the amber, that's when we need to then start to be concerned. The vehicle battery will only be responsible for starting the vehicle, and nothing to do with the leisure side. The motorhome battery will take care of all your lights and everything as such like that. So the worst that can happen is it'll drop, it'll safeguard itself and lock itself out, and then it's just a case of starting the engine or plugging it back into mains. Next one is our water level gauge. Shows us how much water we've got in. As we saw earlier, we've sort of just got just over 1/3 of water, so it's showing there whereabouts we're up to. There's 4 probes inside the tank, so literally all it will show is reserve, third, 2/3 and full. So you'll tend to get 2 LEDs each time. To indicate for the waste, you'll find that the simplest gauge is the emptier that gets, the fuller that your waste tank will get. But you'll also get a red light that'll come on when that waste tank starts to get full. I'll show you where the waste tank drain is last of all. And then finally we've got this, which basically just changes the brightness as we hold it of the display panel. If we hold it, it goes dimmer. If we hold it, it goes brighter. And it's mainly for the comfort of the person who's in this drop down bed. Next to that, we've got your blown air heating. Works from diesel, dead straightforward. Turn it on, twist it, move it to the temperature that you want. Initially on startup, I always advise move it to the full and get your heater operating from there. For a short period, as the heater fires up, as the pump starts working, you might notice that the LEDs flash for a very short few seconds, and that's basically just as the pump is starting up with its diesel pump. It's basically a little diesel engine, and it has a heater plug inside it. If you're going to be wild camping and using it for a sustained period of time, wild camping, then I always advise that initially, if you do that, if you do it with the engine running, and leave it running for 5 minutes, because its initial power surge cycle takes more power actually starting up than it does when it's operating. So if you're going to be parked up for a long period of time, particularly skiing and things such as that, then my advice is just to do so with the engine running first of all. Obviously you don't need to, it's just going to elongate the power that lasts for you. It takes around about sort of 5 minutes to get up to temperature, slowly starts kicking in, you'll hear the fan start to kick up and speed up and things such as that. And once it's operating, it'll just go then from whichever temperature and whichever thermostat you set it at. Again, likewise, when you turn it on, it takes the time to heat up. When you turn it off, it'll take a time to cool down as well. It'll continue to blow and exhaust itself of any heat within it, just to elongate the life of the heater and to protect it. Okay, so that's everything on the heating side. Next thing, we'll get on the campsite, and obviously we're going to turn our fridge on. The main thing with that is we've got our main on and off button, which is here. It's just a touch screen basically. You just hold it for a length of time and it'll switch on and switch off from there. Let's just close that. So we hold that, and as you can see, those lights come on. It's a 3-way fridge. So a 3-way fridge works by operating on mains, gas and battery. Battery will only operate when the engine is running. And it's coming from the vehicle battery, it's coming from the alternator, pretty much. Without the ignition on, it will not run on 12 volt, and that's because of the amount of power that it takes. So camping, you'll either use mains power or gas. To select which one you want, press the mode button. The easiest way is put it in auto. If you put it in auto, if you've got mains hookup, it'll use mains. When you start your engine, it'll go onto leisure battery, onto battery, sorry. Or when you've not got mains hookup, it'll then look for gas. You can override it by pressing the mode button. As you notice now, I've tried to put it into battery. The warning lights come on because it's saying that we don't have that power because we've not got an ignition running. So literally all we're doing with that is cycle through that and goes from there. So we put it on auto, as you can see, it's selected mains, dead straightforward. The one below it, choose the temperature of the fridge. 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. You want 3 or 4 as a normal setting. Anything more than that, then you end up with frozen lettuce. If there are anything ever faults, then that comes on to warn you it's faulted. Simplest way, if it has faulted, turn off, leave it for 20 seconds, turn it back on again. We've then got your catch and your travel catch for your fridge, which is like so. click to open. And then you've got your fridge inside there with your freezer compartment, which is in that point. And that locks too. Over on the other side then, we've got your 3-burner hob, 1 electric ring, works when you're hooked up to mains, 2 gas rings. Electric ring, you turn on, and it's indicated when it's on by that red light. Gas rings, turn to the large flame, push to light. Once it's lit, hold it in for a second or so, and then release. If you release it too quick, it'll go out. Then we've got your oven and grill. 1 way for grill, again same principle, push to light. 1 way for oven, push to light. If you're operating the grill, pull this out, and then that just protects from any heat coming up. And then you've got your oven and grill inside there. Grill pan and wire is inside your instruction pack. When you're putting this back down, just make sure that the burners have cooled down first of all, just to prevent it from damaging. Your water system, you've got a cold and a hot tap, indicated with blue and red. Lift that up and that operates from there. When you're first filling the system and you're filling the boiler, what you might find is the best way to do it is to move it to hot, pull it through. This system's already been primed, but the first initial time that you'll do it is basically you'll pull that into hot, and what in essence it's doing is taking 10 litres of cold water from the cold water tank and putting it into the boiler. And it takes 10 litres, it'll cough, it'll splutter, it'll gurgle, because in essence what you're doing is purging it full of air. Like I say, this has already been primed, so this is good to go. And for us to turn the heating on. And that closes like so. And then the water will drain through and drain down into the waste tank, which like I say, I'll show you later on. Up here we've got your light. This light is operated just by turning on and off from there. And then we have a mains power switch within there. Moving to the front of the vehicle, just to indicate, you've got your controls for your heater, and that's for your water heater, so it's a boiler on there. You have a smaller line and you have a larger line on the right hand side. Basically you've got in essence 1 kilowatt if the toggle switch is in the top position, or 2 kilowatt if it's in the bottom position. Now you'll notice that it says 230 volt on there, and that is basically does exactly what it is. It'll only work when it's on mains power. Now that is for the electric side. Middle position is off, and then like I say, 1 kilowatt at the top, 2 kilowatt at the bottom. That is for if you are operating the heater on mains. If you've got mains hookup, use that. Dead straightforward. Put it in 2 kilowatt, it'll heat up in around about sort of 40 minutes. 1 kilowatt, take a good couple of hours to be fair, depending on the temperature outside. But if you're using mains hookup, get into the habit of doing that, because it's just going to save you on your gas. Now if you don't have mains hookup, inside here, which is above your sink, you have your control then for gas. You have an indicator which says 50 degrees and another indicator which says 70 degrees. Again, toggle switch, up or down. 70 degrees, it'll warm the water to 70 degrees. 50 degrees, it'll warm it to 50 degrees. On gas, take around about sort of 35 minutes to get up to temperature. It's a bit more powerful on gas. Ultimately on that, it's really just a case of operating it. Ensure that you've removed that cover, which I said earlier. If it ever fails, you'll see a red LED, but when it's operating, you won't see anything. It will fail because you've either not purged gas through the system, which again, the simplest way is just by pulling a bit of gas through here, or you forgot to turn your gas bottle off. So turn it off, wait a couple of minutes, and then restart it. Okay, so at the back of the vehicle, we've got your beds. This is the bed, which is the height adjustable bed. Obviously, like I say, from inside your garage, you can move that up and down. You've then got light switches, which are here, which are for the different lights throughout the vehicle. We've got your wardrobe with double hanging space, storage lockers inside there. Opposite side, we've got your bathroom sink, exactly the same principle as your kitchen sink. Toilet flush, which you push to flush from there, and then your cassette, which you open and close from there. And as you open that, that opens the cassette inside and drops down into that cassette. That will light up when it starts to get full. Then you've got, around the vehicle, you've got various blowers such as this. You can close those off, and as you close those off, the other vents further along the line will then get up to temperature more. Most people will operate that pretty much with it closed position, because this will get quite warm inside here. Bit of storage in there, and then storage in there. And then you've got your roof vent, which you twist, pops open, and there's a blind also, which is built into here, like so. As you'll notice, that bathroom door closes and forms part of this ensuite area. Each of your windows and blinds all have blinds and fly screens. Those close too, and pull down from there. And then each of your windows are a caravan window. Push these buttons in to release, and then it lifts up. It's on a ratchet, so it won't then pull down, so push up and then bring down, much as you would do with a ratchet action. Each of the beds, I've got these push lights, push those to turn on from there. And then inside the ensuite area, we have the shower compartment. Again, the tap, which operates exactly the same way as your kitchen tap, hot and cold. Shower drain inside there. You'll notice you've got two drains. The reason being is you're not always completely level. You've got the same blind and fly screen roof vent operation as you've got in your toilet. And then also one handy device is this, which drops down. So if you've got any wet clothes or anything like that, you can hang them on there. Drips into the shower, so you're not getting wet. Right, so the operation of the bed and the electric beds in the vehicle are done so by ensuring that those keys, which are above your cab, so just above the passenger side, are turned on. You have a main and a spare. Now that operates both beds and also the electric table. To do so, once you've turned that on, you do so with these switches. The one towards the front does your front bed. The one towards the back does your back bed. And the one in the centre does your table. So as you push this button, the table then will drop down.